attendee list. Welcome. Thank you to our Progressive Multiplier grantee partners who are here, as well as our funding partners. I see lots of familiar names, so thank you for joining us. And yes, if everyone could introduce themselves in the chat, name and organization, pronouns, where you're based. Would love to start to get to know each other. All right. Well, it's 5 after, and our attendees list is growing slowly here in Zoom, so I'll go ahead and jump in. Welcome everyone to today's discussion. My name is Bethany Mackey. I'm the Executive Director here at Progressive Multiplier. Welcome to today's inaugural Progressive Content Club. After reading the absolutely brilliant work of our panelists, I reached out to a friend and grantee partner, Brendan Sloan at Jobs with Justice, and asked if he thought Smiley and Sarita would be willing to dig into my personal favorite theme of the book, Capital as a Lever of Power. With our grantee partners here at PM, we support movement groups, independent revenue generation projects with subgrants and strategic assistance. So we thought it would be a really valuable conversation for them to be a part of. And thankfully, Smiley and Sarita were game for this conversation. And we're thrilled to be co-hosting today's events with 2 other intermediaries that we are very honored to work with in different capacities along our journey. Both of these groups support movement groups in maximizing capital, whether it be through establishing optimized legal structures for nascent organizations or providing innovative ideas, support to succeed. So please welcome also Deborah Barron of New Left Accelerator and Adrian Harrow of the Workers Lab. Deborah and Adrian, can you guys do quick introductions? And if you could just riff a little bit on what role you think intermediaries play in helping movement groups combine this collaboration and exploration and experimentation with the rigor that they need to build a new lever of power, like our relationship to capital, or to affect an existing lever of power. Deborah?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Deborah, she, her, I am normally based in the Bay Area, but I am now up in Tahoe. The fake antlers behind me are not my normal decor here, with my family and my kids who may be making an appearance here in the background. So I'm the Executive Director of New Left Accelerator, and we think a lot about capital, mostly because we specialize in doing capacity building with organizations that use multiple legal entities to build power. And so that means almost everybody that we work with is working with a C3, a C4, sometimes a state and federal PAC, and some of the more creatives are using other legal structures, C5s, corporate structures, LLCs, C Corps, S Corps, and part of thinking about how to utilize and access capital sometimes involves thinking about what are the legal structures we need to have in place to do this most effectively. So a lot of our interaction with folks that are thinking about new ways to leverage capital is to help them think about what are the legal structures that we might want to put in place so that when the capital comes in, it is unrestricted and provides us with the most opportunities possible to spend that money in a way that builds power for our communities. So really, we kind of work on the side of figuring out, kind of once you know what you want to do, what are the legal structures that might hold that? And I think intermediaries can play a lot of different roles. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge going on in the ground, a lot of experimentation. As always, the field is always far ahead of the intermediaries, the funders, and everybody else. And so often we're coming in the back end to try to provide kind of support around the innovation and leadership that the groups on the ground are showing.
I'll just take over.
Go for it.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
Sorry.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adrian, and I have the privilege of running a wonderful organization called the Workers Lab. Bethany, I just want to say thank you to everybody really quick. Bethany, thank you for taking the lead on this and for inviting us to be a part. And thank you, Sarita and Smiley, for writing this book, which I loved because it's about people and how to better serve and take care of people who work really hard in this country. So thank you for writing this book. I think there's a lot of alignment between the book and what we do at the Workers Lab, because our work at the Workers Lab is premised on the fact that virtually everything that's supposed to be for workers in this country, laws, policies, programs, services, technology, you name it, virtually all of those things are old and exclusive in many cases. And because they're old, they're not serving people well. And because they're exclusive, they're leaving a lot of workers out. And that's not good. And so we need better ideas. And this book is full of them about how to better serve all and every kind of worker, regardless of background, classification, status, whatever. And I'm thrilled to be a part of supporting this book and to be a part of this conversation to learn more about it. On the intermediary point, I'll just speak for the work. Deborah talked a little bit about like the flexibility that intermediaries can create in that's really needed to experiment, to test, to try, to dream, to succeed, and to fail sometimes. I think for us, like what I really see as the value proposition of the way that we're structured as an intermediary is we're able to more easily take on the risk of this kind of work. And it is risky and very challenging and not easy. And the risk is high, but so is the impact if you do it right. And, you know, I think folks in government, folks in the labor movement often get a bad rap about like, you're not innovating enough or you're not risky enough. But I think it makes sense, right? There's a lot more at stake there. As an intermediary, like we don't have members. If we mess up, you know, nobody loses their health care, nothing crazy happens, right? We just learn more and we get better. And that's really valuable, having an intermediary that can help folks take on the risk of doing innovation and doing it with workers and experimenting is really, really, really important and a critical sort of ingredient in the recipe, I think, of the experimentation work. Back to you, Bethany. Thanks again.
Adrian, thanks so much. I plus one 1,000 times everything that you said. I love the experimentation role that intermediaries play, and I think it's so critical when we think about building capital and building capacity. So I have the great honor of opening up this discussion with two amazing human beings, and they're very cool art portraits that were done for the book. So Erica Smiley is the Executive Director of Jobs with Justice, a longtime organizer and movement leader. She's been spearheading strategic organizing and policy interventions for Jobs with Justice for nearly 15 years. Smiley is originally from Greensboro, North Carolina, proud UNCG graduate, so I love that. She's a proud product of the public schools. She currently resides in New Jersey, along with her partner and daughter. And Sarita Gupta is the Vice President of US Programs at the Ford Foundation, overseeing the foundation's domestic work. She previously served as the Executive Director of Jobs with Justice, a leader in the fight for workers' rights that shapes the public discourse on every front to build power for working people and create an economy that benefits everyone. Both of you, thank you so much for being here. We truly appreciate it. Any opening words before we get into it and start grilling you as authors and panelists today?
Not really. I mean, I'm super glad to be here and also excited for this conversation because it allows us to focus on a slightly different part of the conversation around power, around organized money than we've gotten to do in other spaces. So I'm excited to dig in.
Yeah, I would just echo the excitement to be here with all of you, and huge gratitude again to you, Bethany, and Deborah and Adrian for just pulling this whole event together. So really happy to be here and really happy to dig in. So
wonderful. Well, let me stop sharing so we can see maximum size, beautiful faces here. I have the honor of the first question before I will kick it to Deborah for the second, but let me look at my notes here. So one of my favorite quotes from the book is, quote, "Organizing people as workers is not enough.